Well, hey, my name's Pat, and this is Chris, and we're going to go ahead and run a game of classic Battletech today. It's a game that's been out since the mid 80s, originally under Fossa Corporation, but now it's since gone through many different hands since then, and it's currently in the hands of Catalyst Game Labs. If you can see behind us, here are some of the different products that they have out that help do classic Battletech. We've got the game of Armored Combat, which has a number of different little mechs or battle mechs inside it. You can see ones here, for example. They're high detail, very good quality plastic. Catalyst Game Labs has done 2 Kickstarters so far in regards to getting this product out. And a lot of the products from the first Kickstarter, which closed out about 2 years ago, are now in stores, your local game stores. Barnes & Noble also carries a lot of them. One of the other deals that they've had recently is this game called Battletech Essentials, which is a starter box set set on the world of Solaris 7, which is like a gladiatorial game world, has just been exclusively distributed through Target as of the 18th of June, just a few days ago. So I actually picked mine up at a local Target. They had a number of them on hand, and it's a good way to start and get into the game. Battletech actually has a number of different styles of gameplay that are able to do it. What we're showing here today and what we're going to play is classic Battletech. It's a tabletop miniatures game. So each of these tabletop miniatures is going to be represented by a sheet. And on these sheets, they go ahead and they represent, for example, the amount of damage that can be taken to the armor, internal structure, and then how that damage can translate to degrading the capability of the battle mech on the battlefield throughout the different turns of the game. There's a number of other different factors, but you'll see a little bit of as we go through this demonstration here. The big thing that's to keep in mind is this is one version. Alpha Strike is another version, which is a bit more streamlined.
More simple.
Yeah, more simplified version. A lot of things don't get incorporated into it. Things are a little bit easier, and it's actually made for games much bigger than this. So what we're playing is about a lance-on-lance combat, which a lance is equivalent to an armored platoon in the U.S. Army. So it's about 4 battle mechs, or 4 tanks, or 4 vehicles. We're going to do about a lance-on-lance, and the classic Battletech's made for that. Catalyst Game Labs, once again, did a more advanced copy, so Alpha Strike is really more based on about a company size, or about 12 mechs or 12 vehicles, and that actually is also able to get into a lot more ability of combined arms, infantry, battle armor, space fighters, vehicles, aerospace, VTOLs or helicopters. All those different types can be involved. LAMs are coming back, which are land-air mechs, which are actually transferable. So if you're familiar with Robotech or Macross, they have that style of vehicle in the game also. And then one of the other things that they have is called Destiny, or a Game of War. And what those are role-playing games. So you can actually even translate a role-playing tabletop paper and pen, a dice game, and actually kind of move through different ways of playing the game and picking your character or who you represent throughout it. We also know that Harebrained Studios released about, 4 years ago? 5 years ago?
A little longer.
About 4, 5, 6 years ago, released a video game that's very popular on Steam, which actually incorporates a good amount of the rules that you will see today as we play the tabletop miniature game. We're actually in the 3rd scenario of a campaign we've been running. Chris and some of our other friends were representative of that and played it a few weeks ago, and we're actually coming up to the 3rd part. In the first one, it was a meeting engagement. It was their recon element meeting an enemy recon element, trying to figure out who they are, where they're coming from, what are they trying to do. And then once they got the reconnaissance information, their job was to get back to base. Well, unfortunately, in scenario 2, they got cut off, and they had to break through the enemy forces. So, unfortunately, the friendly forces, being Choose Commando, the support lance of Choose Commando, took some damage doing that, but they were able to break through the enemy lines and make it back to base with the information reported. And that information has now led us to this scenario. All right, so what I did was I drafted up basically an operations order that kind of explains the commander's intent, the idea and concept for what the unit is supposed to do during this scenario. And I've got some hidden rules in here too for me as the game master that kind of keeps a few things hidden, a little bit of a secret for Chris, so he doesn't really know what he's going to do. So I'm going to read the scenario, and then we're going to start setup from there, and then from there we'll move into the first rounds of the game. The situation. On 10 April of 3024, your command was able to determine the location of the enemy's headquarters element. The fight has not been going well, and a headhunter attack has been given to Choose Commando and local militia in order to give them the breathing room needed to conduct operations. The support lance of Choose Commando is tasked with moving to Sector 76, Yankee Uniform Oscar, in order to conduct an attack on the headquarters units of the enemy forces. Upon completion, return to base. The friendly forces are your trebuchet, if you want to hold that up so they can see. And the trebuchet is a long-range type of element. It's medium weight, 50 tons. It carries long-range missile packs and medium lasers, and it's relatively fast. The next is a Sentinel, which is right there. Now, this is not the actual representation of the mech. Unfortunately, I did not bring mine from Korea to play, but we're using this to stand in. And that's a medium weight, 40-ton mech that carries an autocannon, a short-range missile pack, and a small laser. The Enforcer. It should be right there. The Enforcer is 50 tons, carries an autocannon 10, carries a large laser and a small laser, and it's jump capable, which means that it can use jump jets and it can jump over difficult terrain and be a bit more mobile than a ground-based element like the other two are. And then last one is a Valkyrie, which is a light battle mech, carries a long-range missile pack and a medium laser, and it's also based, it's relatively fast, about the same speed as the trebuchet, and it carries jump jets, so it's more mobile also. So you've been able to determine that the enemy forces are a Banshee, which is a 95-ton assault mech, a Commando, which is a 25-ton light strike mech, and a Centurion, which is a medium-weight, long-range style strike mech. Your job as a support lance of Choose Commando will be to conduct an attack on the enemy headquarters elements in vicinity of Sector 76 Yankee Uniform Oscar in order to disrupt enemy command and control no later than 48 hours from the receipt of this mission. Okay? Execution. Move overland from your current patrol zone to Sector 76 Yankee Uniform Oscar and then retrograde to home base in Sector 9 Delta 3 Oscar Victor for mission retasking. Your commander's intent is to conduct the attack and report findings to company headquarters in order to determine future offensive and defensive operations. Combat support available. Support is available based on your success at the breakthrough. So you will actually be given 2 artillery attacks, but they will deploy smoke for you. Okay, and they will automatically hit the location you're at. They'll actually cover a center location and the areas around them, and then you will be able to utilize those.
All right.
Sustainment. For Class 1 or food, you'll be able to restock from local sources prior to your onward movement. Class 5 ammunition, restock from local sources prior to movement, and you have reloaded to 75% capability, or at least 75% of your expended ammunition was replaced. Your Class 9 draws required from local repair parts. You've been able to repair 2 of your criticals. It's 75% of your armor and 75% of any lost critical structure. So you're actually based on this far into a battle, you're very well off right now from a mechanical and ammunition standpoint.
Sounds good.
Maintenance, you've got 8 hours to finish up any of your repairs, and you have priority on techs in supplies. So your mech techs and your supplies are a priority. Already talked about the repair. You'll be able to restock all available requirements for jump fuel. And you will be the priority for rearmament. Transportation, none available. You'll be traveling on your own mech's legs. The command, Lance chain of command remains in place, so your trebuchet will be in the Lance commander. And signal, utilize current signal frequencies and procedures. So that right there goes ahead and sets up the conditions and sets the standard for how the battle is going to go. So now he kind of understands that he's got to take out one of these headquarters elements. Now, I'm going to tell him right off the bat. By the way, the commander's in the assault mech.
Okay.
All right. So you've got to do your best to destroy him. And he's got 2 bodyguard elements. One kind of based on long range and one based on short range. Okay?
All right.
And then that will kind of do it. So from there, what you're going to be able to do, since you're attacking, you'll be able to set 3 hexes in. Half hexes don't count. So start setting up your forces, but I will set up first since I was here, and you're moving engaging to me. Now, Banshees are relatively fast for assault mechs. They move 4/6, which means each hex they can move. Now, the thing to take into account is with the different hexes is that elevations and terrain such as rubble or buildings or trees will affect how different battle mechs move. Now, once again, remember I said some jump. Well, very often the jumping ones can jump straight over that that type of terrain and totally avoid it, and move a lot quicker through dense or built up terrain like we're seeing here on the dual maps. So what we'll do is we'll set up this guy first. So
alternating setup?
No, I'm going to set him up first and set them up first. So now based on this setup, you can see that the commander here is in the center, and he's got his 2 bodyguard elements out to the flanks to help protect him as the enemy's moving in. Now, one thing to tell you, as your sensors are going out and you're looking at these forces, you can tell they've taken a lot of damage. You can tell that the commander in the Banshee has taken significant damage to one of his legs and one of his arms, which means that potentially you'll have the ability to go ahead and get some damage. And you can tell that the Centurion had an unlucky strike to his cockpit, so he's already taken head damage. Now, there's a few ways to destroy mechs. One, you can go ahead and take both their legs off. Okay, that will pretty much stop anybody if you think about it. Second is if you take out the entire center torso by taking out a gyro, which helps to keep the mech upright, or taking out a fusion engine, which generates the power for the mech. Another way is to go ahead and take the head off cleanly. And then the last way is to go ahead and get an ammunition hit, which would pretty much in this time and age of Battletech cause an outright destruction of the mech, because that ammunition, as it detonates, it cascades and will destroy the entire internals of the mech, unless they've expended most of their ammunition, which they're not currently at right now. So as Chris is still doing this, let me tell you a little bit of the history. So we're in the year 3024 right now. So mankind made it to the stars in the 2200s, 2100s, and have settled large portions of what's called the inner sphere. The inner sphere is actually managed by 5 large nations. So Choose Commando is actually a mercenary unit working for the Capellan Confederation with the Lau family, and they're actually towards what's called the periphery. So the outer edges of the inner sphere towards some smaller periphery nations are out there, and they've had what looks to be a pirate attack, and what their job to do is defend the planet based on their mission that they were contracted for. All right, you good to go?
I am ready.
All right.
So I've set up in a group because I'm not worried about any area of effect attacks. They are present in the game, but there's not necessarily any from what I can see of his forces.
Yep. Okay. All right, great. So what we're going to do is we're now going to roll for initiative. And all dice rolls in Battletech are based on 2d6. Whoever rolls higher is called gaining initiative. And by doing so, they actually, instead of moving first, they force the other side to move first. And then when you kind of come to the shooting phase, which is after, you kind of do it reversed, where the guy who lost shoots first. But all shooting takes place at the same time. So really what you're trying to do is utilize the maneuver phase or movement phase to really kind of flow the enemy where you want to and how to get your forces. Because what you really want to do is concentrate firepower as much as possible and take enemy down as quickly as you can. All right, Chris, so here's some dice for you.
All right.
All right. So we'll start with the rolls. You got a 9, I have 11, so I win. So based on this, Chris moves a force first. And then we'll alternate. Now, also talking a little bit more history as you're watching as Chris is contemplating who is going to move here. So the height of the inner sphere under the Star League was in the year 2750 to about 2786, 2790. There was a massive fight where what ended up happening was one of the periphery nations kind of made the leader of the Star League kind of duped him a little bit and ended up assassinating him and his entire family and seized Terra or Earth and a large portion of the Star League. Well, what ended up happening at that time is a large portion of the Star League army was actually in the periphery putting down some rebellions. And what ended up happening is they then spent about the next 20 to 30 years coming back to Earth to seize it from Armaris, who was the leader that had taken over. And then what they did from there is the Star League army then left the inner sphere and went somewhere where we don't know. Now, if you get into the lore a little bit more, you'll figure out where they kind of went out. But based on what we know right now is they left. We don't know where they went. And since then, they went to a total war concept where they started nuking cities and just destroying the infrastructure across the entire inner sphere. So a lot of technology fell apart. So they're right now spit and baling wire keeping mechs operational to continue fighting. So now in 3024, you'll basically garrison a planet with a lance or 4 mechs. Whereas in the Star League area, you would have used a regiment of like 360 to 500 mechs to garrison a planet when there was a lot more technology and forces available. So we're now, once again, back down to a small scale here. So, all right, you moved. All right, so let's talk about what happened here real quick. So Chris, if you could go back, let's just show real quick. Where did you start at? Okay, so Chris started here, and one of the things to keep in mind is these clear spaces here are one space, one movement point, okay? So he's moving that mech, which has a walk of what?
4.
Okay, a walk of 4 and a run of 6, which means it can move 6 spaces. But the thing to keep in mind is every time he turns, he spends one of those movement points. So as you can see here, yep, he used 2. So that means he only really moved 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces, even though he ran and expended 6 movement points. So why? Then you ask, why is this die sitting here? Well, we just like to put dice on the board. No, that's not the real reason. The reason is because that helps us throughout the turn as we're going to remember how hard it is to go ahead and hit that guy. So because he ran and he moved 4 spaces, that's a +1 to hit. So he goes ahead and he puts a 1 walking with a white die. Red dies go ahead and denote running, and then jumping, usually we have another color die, but what we'll do is
So he ran.
Oh, he ran, so yes, it should be a red 1. Yep. So a +3. And how do I know that? Well, not only did I memorize the rules since 1984, since I started playing at 11 years old, but the reason is in each of the starter boxes, you get this little cheat sheet. It's nice. It's on high density cardboard. It's kind of, got a nice finish over it, so you could probably get it a little wet, wipe it off right away, and won't get ruined. But this has all the important things you need to know. Everything from your movement modifiers, which you just saw there, to targeting modifiers when we come to shooting, to where you hit, how many missiles hit. I will tell you, Classic Battletech is exceptionally dice crunchy. It's very rules crunchy, and for somebody like me who grew up at the tail end of Advanced Squad Leader and started getting into this and then played games like Risk, I like this style of play. It's not abstract, it's very detailed. You roll a particular hit from the right side, it hits a particular location, you have a chance for extra damage, being criticals, and that's what I kind of like about this. And it's one of the fun things that I like to play because it really helps me out. And then, the other great things about it is in a lot of the boxes, especially the Game of Armored Combat, you can actually design your own mechs. So it'll present weights, spaces, all the things that are important to being able to build a mech. So if you've got any kind of mech concept in mind, you can build it. And that's the great thing about this, because it's so flexible. It allows you to do pretty much anything. So now that Chris moved, I'm going to go ahead and move my guy. And then that will allow us to go ahead and continue moving along. So let's see here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I can't move any farther forward because this is light woods, because it takes 1 to move into a clear hex and then an extra +1 for light woods. I only can move 4 or 6 when I'm running, so I've already expended 5. So I moved 1, 2, 3, 4 spaces. That means I ran and I have +1 myself. Now, the terrain also is going to affect if you can be hit, where you can be hit, and how easily you can be hit. All right, Chris, you're up. I'll be honest, like I said, I like this game because it's crunchy, but one of the things I truly love about this is the community for Battletech is outstanding. The community has truly kept Battletech alive for almost 40 years. There has been, I can probably count on one hand, the number of rules that have changed since the mid-1980s. Torso twisting, how torso twisting is done, how you can be hit behind partial cover. Those are just some of the smaller things that have changed. But the main consistency, the concept, how to play, and the rules behind playing have not changed. And it really makes it easy to come back to it year after year after year, even after you've taken a bit of hiatus from playing the game. And that's what I really love, is because it comes back, reminds me of my childhood, reminds me of the times when we used to spend lots of time playing not only this, but like Warhammer 40,000, and then it kind of dovetailed from this into role-playing games. Really the things I truly enjoy, so.
All
right, cool.
That is the Valkyrie.
All right, so I'm now going to move the commander. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 5, okay. And a 5 is, let's see, I put it on the right side. And a 5 is actually a +2 modifier to hit. But one thing, he's probably not going to be able to get hit because I'm not too sure how well you can see, but you can see that he's got some mountains here. So these are level 1. So level 1 on a mech comes up to about the waist. Level 2 is above their head, so you can't really see him very well. So he's actually really covered. And then the amount of woods between him and an enemy is also going to affect if he can be seen or how easily he can be hit. So, one other thing. Remember how at the beginning of this particular round I won initiative? Well, here's what's great about that. I still have a guy to move, and Chris does too. But because I won initiative, I move last. So, Chris, you now need to move your last guy. Now, this is good from a tactical perspective because it grants me the ability to kind of shape how the fight's going to be, because now he's reacting to potentially what my last guy is going to do. Now, at the initial phases of the fight this far out, it's not that important really. But as you start getting closer in and where you can get back shots, where you have less armor and you can be more deadly with your shots, it's going to become much, much more important. All right, so at this point, we've gotten to the end of the movement phase. Okay, so what we would do now is we would shoot. But right now, nobody's really in range, so we're kind of out of the ability to shoot. So if you weren't shooting anymore, next we would move into the physical phase, and we would do punching, kicking, clubbing, different other types of attacks. Since we're not close enough to do any of those, we would now go to the heat phase. So every time you do something in Battletech, if you move, you jump, you fire a weapon, you take an engine damage hit, you step in lava, for example, heat goes ahead and is ended up being generated. And on your character sheet, or on the vehicle sheet, you can see on this side right here is this heat gauge. It can get bad enough that you actually get so hot, you cause your ammunition to explode inside you. Or you can shut down, or you become slower, or your heat affects your targeting circuits and it's harder for you to hit the enemy. So you've got to do a very careful management between maneuver, shooting, and heat. And it really takes you the requirement to think through carefully everything that you're doing to ensure that you're maximizing what you do and you are built as part of the lance and you continue to affect. Now sometimes, to be honest, it makes sense to alpha strike, which an alpha strike is a term for firing every single weapon you have at a target. That may be beneficial if you're at close range, and it may be good if you're trying to distract the enemy from going after a weaker part of your team. But that's all part of the tactics that you have to weigh out as you're playing the game. All right, Chris, we'll go into another turn.
All right.
All right. We're rolling initiative again. 9 and 9. 10. Yes, I win again. All right, Chris, so make your first movement. All right, remember, you still have those 2 artillery strikes of the smoke that you can use.
So what is the rules for those?
You just call it in at the beginning of the turn, and then we just mark it out. It automatically hits the location.
The beginning of this turn?
You can call it at the beginning of this turn if you wanted to. Yeah.
And what is the gameplay effect of the smoke?
It will block line of sight, and it hits the same turn you call for.
And how many woods can one see through?
You can see up to 2. So woods are interesting. Okay, you have 2 different types of woods. You have light woods and heavy woods. So you can see up to 3 light woods block view, 1 heavy, and 1 light block view. So it kind of adds up to a visual decrement of +3.
And the Banshee's 4/6?
Yes.
No jump?
No jump. And by the way, based on the scans, he carries a PPC, an AC-5, and a small laser, and that's it.
So I can put one of the smoke out now?
You can, yeah, go ahead if you want to do it. Yeah. I should have told you before how to operate that. So, okay, you're going to do it there? Okay, so based on that, the smoke will come in, and we'll mark it with the black dice, unless you got some cotton or something, Chris. All right, so this is smoke. All right, so that will be represented with smoke, and it'll actually stay for the rest of the game.
Okay.
Because this won't go that long. Okay, so also one of the other things to keep in mind is that each of these hexes is about 30 meters across. So based on that, you can kind of get a picture of how big of a field of battle we're working with. All right, so we're actually just at the middle or at the end of movement for the second turn. So as you can see here, Chris has moved the majority of his lance up here in the center area, which is on some high ground that's actually got some woods around here, giving him a little bit of protection. You can tell he threw the black dice, he jumped. The red dice, he's run. And that guy have dice? Is it? Yeah. He ran. Okay, and he's in wood, so that's a +1 to it. How many did he move? 4? Okay, so then that's a +2, yeah. And you can see he's got one flanker out here, and that's his trebuchet. So that's got long-range missiles and medium lasers. That's probably a good one to have out on the flank to kind of hold down a little bit, as long as he has the ability to engage along clear fire lines. Now, I've kind of moved up. I've got 2 of my elements here, and I've got this one coming out on a flank here. Now, one of the things to keep in mind about movement is the hexes are about 30 meters across. So they're actually relatively large, about 90 feet. The mechs can't necessarily both stop in there. With the new Kickstarter that just came out, Battletech Mercenaries, they cover a little bit more closely how stacking can happen, how many vehicles and infantry and how many vehicles and mechs can be in one particular space. Based on this, for classic Battletech, it's usually 1 mech per space, but we do kind of play it with a house rule and with rules that you can actually move through. That way you're not getting too channeled up. And of course, with jump jets and jump ability, you can jump right over any bottlenecks that you run into. So that's kind of right now covering the movement. So now we're going to be at the shooting. Now, because Chris had lost initiative here on this second turn, he's going to actually be the first one to fire. But keep in mind, firing is simultaneously. So if I take a massive destruction, get my head blown up or my ammo exploded, I still have the ability to go ahead and retaliate with my shooting during that time frame. So what Chris is first going to do is he's going to look at each of his mechs, understand what the range brackets are for his different types of weapons. Every weapon is a little bit different. You have something like a small laser, which only has a range of 3 hexes, to a medium laser, which has a range of 9 hexes, to his long-range missile packs, which have a range of 21 hexes. And then broken down in there would be short range, medium range, long range. And then for things like autocannon 5s, autocannon 2s, LRM packs, and PPCs, there's also a minimum range. So if you're inside that minimum range, you take a penalty to hit. So based on all that, Chris is going to look at it. He's first going to figure out what is the gunnery of his particular mech, and that's the gunnery skill level. He's then going to look at the range, and the range is going to start at 3. So for example, for an average mech, it's mech warrior, he's got a gunnery of 4. It's 4 at short range, 6 at medium range, 8 at long range. He has an advanced pilot who's gotten some experience, so he has a 3, 5, 7 to start with. He's then going to add in, and we'll actually show you on the sheet how that works, but then he's going to add in his movement modifier, and then the targeting movement modifier here to include any terrain and any other effects, and that's going to give him his base to hit number. And on 2d6, he's going to try and roll above that. So as we take a look at this, so the first thing important is Chris is counting out his distance.
Torso twist him, it's 13.
Okay.
And how many woods? So there's 1 in front of me and then 2 in front of him, so does that allow me to hit?
You're elevated, so that's going to affect. Now that's going to be 3 woods, you won't be able to see them.
And same with the guy in front, so we'll move over to the Wolverine. This is 8, or Wolverine is a Valkyrie. So it's 8 to either. There's 2 woods in the way to either. They're both light, I believe.
Nope, this is 1 wood right here. And he's actually elevated on level 1, so this is level 2, so it's partial. So technically he's kind of a little bit above the trees anyways, they wouldn't even really be affected. You got level 1 here. So you're actually at medium range, so that'd be a 6.
No, for LRMs that's short.
No, short is 7.
Okay.
8 is medium. So you'll be at medium, so he's a gunnery of 4, so that's a 6. And then you ran 7, 8. He has a target modifier of 1 of 9.
9.
So he's got to roll above a 9 on 2d6 to see if he hits.
Yep, I will fire at him with the LRM, and the medium laser would be an 11.
Yep.
So if I ran...
Yeah, and the medium laser is 11 because a range of 8 is within 7 to 9, which is long range for a medium laser.
So there's no penalty in terms of heat, because I can dissipate 10, LRM 10 is 4, medium laser 3, plus 2 for running.
And we'll get to the heat phase in a little bit. So just focus on
it's going to be under 10, so we're going to fire both.
Okay.
Medium laser and LRM.
Okay.
First, the medium laser.
9 misses.
No. LRM 10. Yes.
And the LRM 10 hits. So now that an LRM or a short-range missile pack is hit, what he's now going to do is he's going to roll 2d6 again on the cluster hit table.
8.
And an 8 for 10 missiles means that actually 6 of the missiles impacted.
5.
Yep, so hold on. So for long-range missiles, what you do is you take them and you break them into as close to groups of 5 as possible. So with 6 missiles hitting, he's going to roll 1 time for a group of 5, and then 1 time for a group of 1.
Is on the side?
He's actually torso twisting that way, so we'll call it center.
10.
10. Left arm.
For 5, and 1 in the 3.
Okay, he's taking severe damage to his left arm at this time. And then 3 is his right arm. He's taking no damage to that.
Right.
Okay.
So that's that guy. So, go ahead.
Okay. No. Any of your other guys gonna fire?
Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't. So can this guy see anything? I believe no. Right? We determined.
Yeah.
No one forward, no one back. So then we've got this gentleman. So 1, 2. I believe that's going to be a no because there's 2 woods here, 2 woods over there.
Let's see. Is he elevated? He is elevated. So elevated 1, elevate. Yeah. Well, he's a 1, 2. Yeah. Because of the default. Yeah, he wouldn't be able to.
And then here, I believe that would be 2 to you. I believe it would be he'd be blocking line of sight. The woods.
Yeah, it's level 2 right here.
Yep.
Yep. All right.
So I believe that will be it.
Yep. All right. So he's done his shooting. I'm now going to look at mine and see if I can do any shooting in return. So I definitely know he hit me. So let's see here. And we said that was range of 8, right?
Yep.
All right. So I ran. Target. So let's see. So I have a gunnery of 4. So that means at short range, it's 4 as the base to hit. At medium range, you add +2 to it, so it's a 6.
Mm-hmm.
I ran, that's another +2. And then your targeting movement modifier is 2, so that's another +2, a total of 10. So I have to roll above 10. Now my PPC and AC5, which I'm going to shoot at you with, both have the same range profiles, so they'll both require a 10.
What about any woods?
You're elevated.
Okay.
You didn't get any woods on yours, so it wouldn't count back for me also. And I'm elevated too.
Right. 20 go.
Okay, I'm going to go PPC first. Miss with a 7. AC5. Miss with an 8. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to go over to the character sheet and I'm going to mark off the ammunition. So I shot 1 AC5 round, so that means I expended 1 round of ammunition, and I still have 19 rounds of ammunition left to use in this game before my weapon is empty. No. All right, so he wouldn't be able to hit it all because of the woods in between would cause him issues because he is not elevated.
All right.
My Centurion over here, on the other hand, let's see if he can see anything.
Level 1.
Yeah, it's level 1 with woods. A lot of woods. No, there's no way.
Yep.
And because of the smoke right here,
Yep.
he's unable to see anything in that direction. So based on that right now, that is shooting completed for this round. So from here we would move into any physical attacks. Nobody's close enough for physical attacks. So now we go to heat. Now, Chris had been earlier talking when he was shooting, trying to factor in movement versus weapons fire to figure out if he was going to cause too much heat to be generated. So based on that, Chris, if you want to explain how you did your heat.
That mech ran, so that's 2 heat. I fired a LRM 10, which is 4, and a medium laser, which is 3, so that's 9. I can dissipate 10, so I'm fine. Oh, 11. There you go.
All right, so he generates no heat, so he'll have no adverse effects. For me, I ran, so it's +2 heat. I fired a PPC, which is 10 heat, so I'm up to 12, and the AC5 is 1, so I generated 13 points of heat, and I have 16 heat sinks, so I won't generate any heat. So based on that, we look at it. If we had taken damage in excess of 20 points of damage per the round, or if we had taken head hits, or that we had fallen down and the pilots had become injured, we would now do different piloting skill rolls at the end, which at this point we don't need to do yet. Okay.
All right. Initiative.
Yep. And now we're up to initiative. 7.
7.
Nice.
Oh.
9. Yes, I continue
9.
to win. That's why my elite forces will defeat you.
Right.
All right. And at this point, we wipe off the these dice. All right. So my commando is going to turn 1 to the left, so 1 point. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. turn back to the left, 7, 8, 9. So now he's actually facing this direction, but he's going to do something called a torso twist. Means his legs are going to continue in the direction he was moving, but his torso shifts like this, which allows me to put more of my weapons, be it either in my torso or my arms, on target here. Now, in the past, that was a big issue in original Battletech, but now it's become a little bit simpler because it affected how your mech was turned and how it would take damage. So in this particular case, the way it's going to be actually is he'll take all the damage on his left side from this particular combat. Actually, let's see here. Yeah, so he'll take damage on his left side, whereas in the past, my torso twist, it would have been totally on my front side. A little bit of change that's happened over the 40 years, but it kind of also affects your tactics sometimes as to how you're going to use them, because if I have something that's in a arm, I don't necessarily have the right firing arc on it. So torso twist helps you to get into that particular correct firing solution that you need to have. All right, he didn't move anything. So in this case, when you didn't move enough to receive a target movement modifier, you'll take a white dice and you'll put a 6 on it. Because there's nothing that walks and can get 6, trust me. Oh, at least not right now. Future tech, in later, more advanced versions of Battletech, you can definitely do that. And the games that we're playing here are literally right out of the basic box. There's multiple books involved that you can get into much more depth and detail. You can get aerospace fighters, you can get space battles, you can do aerial strikes, you can do orbital drops, many different targets, tactics, techniques, city fighting, things like that. You can fight in space, high gravity, low gravity, lava. All those are covered in future source books and additional source books that are out there, like strategic operationals, tactical operations, those types of ones. You can find them on Catalyst Games Lab's website. You can find them on Amazon, different locations like that. And they grant a bit of a different perspective to the game and grant you different rules that can affect things. So, for example, like smoke. And they will now, because of vehicles coming out in the latest Kickstarter, that's going to incorporate how vehicles and infantry and battle armor are now incorporated in the game a little bit differently than they've been done in the past. All right, so now we've finished our movement. You can see that Chris has kind of moved up here. He's readjusted his right flank to start cutting inwards and start coming towards my commander. He's kept this group pretty much contained. I've moved one of my guys around on the flank here who's mostly outfitted. He's a commando with short-range weaponry. And I have a Centurion over here who's more middle to long range, and he's coming up on this flank. Now, he's got an opportunity of shooting this guy in the back, which could be truly telling if I get lucky and I actually hit him, because your back armor is usually a lot less than your front armor. And then with my commander, I chose to just move one space over, get onto a higher elevation, because that moved me into my short range bracket versus medium, which means I actually now have one less to hit him, to hit this target right here, which is the Valkyrie. And when we go through that shooting for that particular guy, I'll show you how those modifiers would have stacked up and how with me moving just one space has changed that to make it a little bit better for me. All right, Chris, you're up for shooting since you lost initiative.
I think I cut the smoke trying to look at him. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd say it's going to go down this line. I think you're good. I think you're good.
Okay.
Yeah, I think here. Do you have your laser marker?
No.
Okay, hold on one sec. Let's just see here. Yeah, Chris, I think you go right down the line. Yeah, I think you're good.
So that's going to be medium for LRM, so it's...
Yep, medium.
Yep, so that's going to be 5s.
Mm-hmm.
I ran 6, 7, He didn't move, and then what do we got for woods?
Nope.
Those?
I'm on level 2, and those are level 1s, so
All right.
they're not even going to affect it.
So it's 7s.
Yep.
2 LRM 10s.
No,
Or 15s.
Yep. All right, first one.
Nope.
Just missed with a 6.
Yes.
And hits with the second one.
Right.
All right.
How many hit?
So going to roll on the cluster table, and with a 9, he hits with 12 out of 15 missiles.
Right. First group of 5.
Okay. 7.
Center torso.
That's going to be center torso. Hold on one second, Chris. Let me mark it first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay.
5.
5
Or 5.
is the right leg. By the way, my right leg is now exceptionally
Ooh.
severely damaged.
And 2 in your 11.
Oh my god, my 11! No, okay, that's my left arm. My left arm is even more severely damaged.
Right.
So, what that means is that once he gets through the armor, he's then going to affect the internal structure. And every time he hits the internal structure, he's going to have an opportunity to roll to see if he causes a critical hit in the particular location that he hit. So, in the last game that we played, we got really, really lucky in that when I was firing at one of the other mechs, the Sentinel in fact, I rolled a 12 when I had penetrated his arm. I blew his arm completely off. So actually it was really stunning because now he was one-armed. He had punch throughs in his torso. He was really in a lot of trouble, but he was able to make it through the rest of the scenario and escape, and he came back now repaired. He wasn't able to repair all of his damage, but through surviving he was able to repair most of it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yep.
Minimum is 6, so that's no penalty, right?
No, that means you're at 1.
Okay.
Yep.
So I ran, so that's 3. And did any of the woods affect us? Level 2?
No, I'm level 2.
So
and
it's
then
3, so it's going to be short for the LRM 10. So it's going to be a 7.
Okay, so hold on, let's check again. So you're a 4 gunner, plus 2 for running, that's 6.
6.
Plus 1 because you're within the
7,
short range,
yep.
and nothing in between affects it. So
7.
you're at a 7. And then are you firing the medium laser too?
So that's going to be long. Or no, wait, that'd be medium. So that'd be 9.
Okay.
Let's see what we got for
So a 7 for the long range missiles.
Yeah, so I think so. I'll fire that.
Okay.
So what did I say? 9? So
7 and 9.
Okay. Medium laser needing a 9. Nope.
Misses with a 7.
LRM 10.
Needing a 7.
Nope.
And he misses with a
Nothing.
4. All right, make sure to account for your ammunition.
Yep.
All right. So in that particular case, Chris missed with both his. And you know what? Unfortunately, that's just the luck of the dice sometimes. So, based on that, he has 2 more of his individuals that can shoot.
So let's see what we've got in the way. So firing at him, I think I wouldn't be able to see the Banshee.
Let's
I
see.
got
Your blow,
woods.
that's a 2. Yeah, you wouldn't be able to see him.
Okay. So he is going to fire, so that is the ship. It's actually the Enforcer.
Is that a 2 there? That's a 2, yeah.
So fire at the commando. 3, I don't hit any woods. So let's see. So that's going to be short for the large laser and AC 10.
Yep.
I jumped.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 3.
Yep.
So that's 7.
Yep.
8, 9 for both.
Yep. So once again, he's a gunnery of 4. He jumped, which is a +3 attack modifier, which is 7. And I have a targeting modifier of 2, so that's a 9.
Okay. Large laser.
Okay. Oh, and
Yes.
he hits with the large laser.
AC 10.
All right. And he hits
9.
with the AC 10. So which one are you rolling for damage, Chris?
Large laser first. It's going to be a 10.
And that's left arm. Okay, that's probably going to rip my left arm right off. All right, so he fired a large laser. Was that the large laser? Yeah. Large lasers generate 8 points of damage and 8 points of heat. So they run really hot, but they can pack a big wallop. So right now, that was on my, we said right arm, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, okay. So right arm, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, and 2 go into my internal structure, which grants him an opportunity to discard critical.
No.
7.
Is that it?
No, it's not. So
Needs to be
a
an
critical, a critical hit on an 8 or 9 causes 1, a 10 or 11 causes 2, and a 12 causes 3 or would blow my limb off.
10 points from the AC 10 to your
Center torso. Okay, good shot on the center torso, and he's punched through on that also. So now he has a chance of damaging weapon systems, gyroscope, and also my my engine.
Possible crit. A 9.
Yep, so he's done 1 critical. So now, on the critical chart, for center torso, there's 2 blocks of 6. So he's going to roll
First.
1 die. That's going to say location.
Second.
So he's in the second group, and he
Third.
affected number 3, which is fusion engine.
Oh.
So my fusion engine's taking a hit, which means I automatically generate 5 extra points of heat every single turn. So this is potentially going to be bad, because that's going to limit me. Like I said, every time you run, you walk, you jump, you fire a weapon, you generate heat. So now I only have 10 heat sinks, so half of my capability and capacity is now gone.
Yep. So now the next one is going to be the Sentinel. So it is here. We've got woods in the way. So that's going to be an additional +1, so it's a modifier of 3.
And it's a 2, so you'll actually be hitting me on the partial. So there,
Is that more?
Yeah, it's a +1 extra to hit.
So 4 modifier. So let's see. No, I ran. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the woods, 6 for the turret, the elevation, right? So we've got SRM2, which is going to be. So we said what? 4. 6. So SRM2 needs a 10, right?
Okay. So let's look at it again.
No,
so
9.
A 4
Yep.
plus 2 for running is 6.
Yep.
7 for the woods, 8 for the partial.
And what about him?
Oh, 9, 10. You're correct. Thank you.
Is it 10?
So it's a 10,
4,
and it'll-
5, 6,
Yep.
7, 8. I count 9.
Okay,
So,
let's try again.
Oh, sorry, it's 4, not 3.
Yeah.
It was the other guy. Okay.
Yeah.
So 10.
10, and then it'll be 11 for the AC, because you're 1 within the minimum
Right.
range.
Yep. And then the small laser would be a 12.
Yep.
So what do we got for heat sinks? So he ran.
Oh, you can fire it.
So okay. So small laser needs a 12.
Okay, small laser, and he
Nope.
misses with a 9.
SRM2. Nope.
Misses with a 3.
AC 10.
AC 5.
Alright, sorry.
And you miss with that
All
one
miss.
too. All right, so all misses. Make sure you mark off your ammunition, and that's one of the things to do. Also, is make sure you mark off your ammunition. We don't want to be cheating. But the reality is, most of the weapon systems, except for example his Enforcer, which only has 10 shots, probably in one scenario like this would never fire off all of its ammunition. But where it does affect it is if I get a critical hit on that ammunition, the amount of ammunition left means the amount of damage is scalable dependent on what's left. Okay?
Did I go with all of them?
Yeah, he fired, he fired, he fired, and he fired. Yeah,
Okay,
they all
yeah,
fired.
So I'm done.
Okay, so the commando is going to shoot at... He's going to shoot here.
Okay.
And that's the... let's see, that's the Enforcer, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I'm going to Alpha Strike.
Okay.
So let's see. I'm at a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I'll need an 8 to hit you.
4, 5, 6, 7. Yep.
Yep. So I'll need an 8 because I'm elevated up, and there's a level 1. Oh, that could be a part. Let's see. So yeah, you're kind of in the down phase. So that'd be actually a 9.
Okay.
But if I do, it's on the punch table.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
All right. So he's going to require a 9 with his medium laser. Now this is going to make me generate a lot of heat. So I may shut down after this, but it's worth it. So 9 with the medium laser, and I miss. 9 with the SRM6.
Oh.
And I hit. 9 with the SRM4, and I miss. All right, so only one of my 3 weapon systems hit. I'm now going to roll on the cluster table. So for 6 missiles, I roll a 6, so I hit with 4 out of 6. All right, and being
6 is 4.
yeah.
Oh.
All right, so 6, you take 2 points to your right torso. 4, you take 2 points to your right arm. 8, you take 2 points to your left torso. And 4, you take 2 more points to your right arm. All right, and I mark off my ammunition. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, 80, 81, 82, 83, 84, 85, 86, 87, 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99, 100, 101, 102, 103, 104, 105, 106, 107, 108, 109, 110, 111, 112, 113, and then we'll come to the heat phase and we'll generate that. All right, so we'll finish up. All right, so I'm going to continue with the shooting for my team. My leader is going to shoot here at the Valkyrie. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So he's within short range. So that's a 4. I walked 5, and you moved 1. That's 6. Okay. Now, if I had been back here, I'd been in medium range. That would have been 4 plus 2 for the range, 6 plus that 7. So I actually would have had a worse number to hit with. So by moving up just 1 space, it allowed me the ability to get a better chance to hit. So 6 for the PPC and 6 for the AC5. PPC, miss. AC5, hits. All right, so the AC5 hits you in the right torso for 5 points of damage. Mark off some ammo. Okay. And then my Centurion is going to fire into the rear of your trebuchet or trench bucket. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. AC 10 is in medium, and the LRM 10 is in short, but it's +1 to hit. So we're at let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So the Centurion is a unique mech in that it has one of its weapons facing rear to protect me if anything jumped behind me or got behind me. So I also have one facing forward. Since I torso twist in this direction, also fire the medium laser. So AC 10 requiring, once again, a 4, 5, 6, 7. The LRM 10 needing a 8, and the medium laser needing a 7 also. So AC 10 hits. LRM 10 misses, medium laser misses. All right, so the AC 10 hits you in the rear. It's 5. I think that's an R. Right leg. Couldn't capitalize. Couldn't get him in the rear of the torso. Possibly crippling him. Yeah, 10. In the leg. Okay.
It's fine.
All right, so let me track down my -1. -1. Okay. All right, so now what we're going to do is no physical attacks. Nobody's close enough. Now we're going to factor in heat. So we'll start with my commando, who looks like he's going to overheat real quick. He fired his SRM 6, which is 4, his medium laser, which is 3, and his SRM 4, which is 3. So that's 10. Plus he ran, that's 12. Plus, remember, he took that engine hit. He's now up to 17 heat. So since he can only expend 10 heat, he's actually at 7 on the heat monitor. And 7 on the heat monitor is a -1 to my movement points. So where I've been moving 6 walking, 9 running, I now am limited to 5, 8. All right. And then Chris, if you want to calculate yours. So let's see.
Yep.
10, 11, 12. No, I'm good. 3, 7, 10, 11, 12. I generated 2 heat with him. So I'm up to 2.
Yep. So my trebuchet is at 2, and my enforcer's at 3.
Okay. You want to mark it already? Okay. All right. So, hey, we've now brought you through 2 full turns. We didn't get to physical attacks, death from above, where you can use your jump jets and land on people's head, punching or kicking. But really, this is giving you at least a core look of what the game is, how game operates within its different phases, and the rules. Now, once again, keep in mind that the rules that you find in either the Battletech Essentials, the Clan Invasion, which is actually an expansion upon the game of Armored Combat, all the rules we used here today are within each of those boxes. The Essentials does it a little simpler. It doesn't have so much of the critical piece with the critical locations, and it doesn't really utilize heat as much. So more what we were using was from a game of Armored Combat, and that's the one that I'm more, and Chris is more familiar with over the last 30, almost 40 years. So based on that, we hope you enjoyed yourself with seeing this overview of the game, how it operates, and I hope you get a little enjoyment and a desire to try it yourself. Thanks.